It's a new season, which means it's time to discuss where the new weaponry falls in line with the current meta. Today we're breaking down the top 10 loadouts that you should be using within Warzone in Season 5. As we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you like these weapons we talk about in this video? Do you think there's something that we should throw into this top 10 list? Whatever the case may be, let me know down below. But as well, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on the video. You guys absolutely crushed yesterday's higher goal of 2,000 likes, so let's see if we can get 2,000 again here on this. As well, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're chasing down 500,000 subscribers, so if you guys would like to stay up to date with all things Warzone, Cold War, Modern Warfare, COD 2021, there's a lot of stuff still coming up here that you don't want to miss, so make sure you stick it here on the channel. And finally, a big thank you to these legends on screen right now who use creator code Espresso to pick up their Season 5 Battle Pass. It's 100% optional, but if you wish to support the channel and content a little further, using code Espresso in the in-game shop for either the Battle Pass or anything you find interesting now or in the future helps directly support the channel. Again, don't feel pressure to do so, but if you ever do, tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. But that said, let's jump right into the loadouts and what you should be using. One thing that I definitely think is nice about the current Warzone meta is that it's still relatively open. We have 10 weapons that we talk about in this video as the best to use in Warzone, sure, but truthfully, there are still plenty of weapons that situationally can outperform any other on any given day. I'd still say that the current meta could support anywhere from 15 to 20 weapons viable in any player's hands, so there may be some that are just on the outside looking in on this top 10, in my opinion. Others you may feel are placed too high, but that's where the variability in playstyle and such comes along. Personally though, I want to start out with some of the ones here that I firmly believe are at the top of the Warzone meta. For these ones, it's not really in any particular like 1 to 5 order or something like that, but they're all relatively bulked in there as those top weapons, because like I said, in the right hands, they thrive in some areas better than others. But to me, number 1 is still the Krig 6. To me, the Krig is that number 1 all-around weapon. I recently started thinking about the Krig, and this comparison dawned on me that it's the Cold War Kilo in my opinion. Statistically speaking, it's not the heaviest hitter in terms of damage per round, it doesn't have the fastest fire rate, but the handling is absurdly good, and as is the recoil, meaning that you're not going to have much bounce when shooting, and it's fairly mobile, so you're going to be able to land more shots consistently, all while getting around the map with ease, and that's something that can outperform some heavy hitters, like that C58 and such, just because you're landing shots more consistently, as opposed to somebody that's shooting a weapon that's bouncing up and down, so it just comes down to the law of numbers at that point. That to me is still why it's atop the meta. For this, though, I'd highly recommend the build we've discussed here on the channel beforehand. The agency suppressor to gain some of that sound suppression, but also increase the things like your bullet velocity, recoil control, and effective damage range. The 19.7-inch Ranger barrel, that's something that offers bullet velocity and vertical recoil control. A lot of people will end up using the CMV mil spec or the task force equivalent here for the Krig because it offers bullet velocity, horizontal and vertical recoil control, and effective damage range. But you end up losing more in terms of sprinting move speed, ADS move speed, aim walking move speed, and I like that mobility. So for me, just using that Ranger so I don't lose as much, but still get that vertical recoil control, you don't see much horizontal kick, so it's still a phenomenal choice. I use the Tiger Team Spotlight to end up improving that movement speed and aim walking movement speed. Axial arms 3x optic because we are playing this for mid to long range, and the 60 round mag. That to me is still probably one of my favorite builds here in all of Warzone. Very easy to pick up, whether you're a newbie or you're a veteran, you can absolutely thrive with it. The C58 is the next weapon I want to talk about because this is the heavier hitter of the weapons, I think, in terms of the rifle category. Slower firing, but if you are accurate with this, you absolutely will thrive with this. It's more of a precision-based weapon in that regard, where headshot multipliers are absolutely key. And for that, I'd say this is still probably the best rifle here for the higher skilled players, the ones that will land those more consistent headshots. And to me, it's kind of that AMAX V2, as I've said in the past, where if you are comfortable with that, you'll absolutely still be comfortable with the C58. This, I end up running the agency suppressor, Ranger barrel. Again, same thing coming down to it. The task force barrel is a very viable option, but I don't like the amount of cons that come along with it. If you can master the recoil pattern here on it, that horizontal recoil control isn't necessarily worth all those movement speed penalties. The 3x optic, again, because we are playing this for mid to long range. The field agent foregrip, because we want that extra control because it does bounce quite a bit. And then the 55 round mag. This is one of those rifle builds where I don't play it as much for mobility and movement speed and more so for control, which makes securing those kills incredibly easy. Next weapon I want to talk about is an SMG here for your close quarters play that I honestly think is kind of underrated. I don't think many people really give it as much a chance as it should have. Of course, you probably will see some of your favorite players, top streamers, use this as well, but in terms of the overall player base, not a whole ton of people are using it by comparison to what's out there, that being the OTS-9. Again, incredibly underrated, and I think it's because the 40 round mag may scare off a lot of of people here, we talk a lot about how ammo is absolutely key in Warzone, especially if you're playing modes like trios and quads, because you could often get into odd man situations where you're outnumbered, and so having ammo can allow you to kind of even that playing field. You can take out multiple players without having to reload anything. But 40 rounds isn't a lot, so if you're precise, you can absolutely still take out multiple players, but you may need to dip out to reload when using something like this. And truthfully, if you're somebody that's comfortable with, say, the Modern Warfare MP5, you should be able to transition into this nicely and give it a try. It's incredibly powerful for those 40 rounds that it ends up packing per mag, and if you can get used to taking 1 or 2 gunfights max at a time, reloading and then re-challing something, this is absolutely the weapon for you. For this, I end up running that standard sound suppressor. We don't need the GRU because we're not using this for longer range, so we can end up getting that faster ADS time as an added bonus as well with that sound suppression and bullet velocity and sprint to fire speed. We're going to run the task force barrel so that we can extend that damage range. I also run the KGB skeletal stock for, again, more movement speed here at this one, sprint to fire time, and aim walking movement speed as well as ADS firing speed. The serpent wrap is something that I end up playing because it has been fixed out recently, so the aim down sight is absolutely beneficial. Otherwise, I'd end up putting on the Tiger Team Spotlight to, again, give a little bit more in terms of that movement speed. And then, of course, our 40 round mag. You don't want that base of, I think it's like 24 rounds or something like that. That you're never going to win. That's something you'll see probably in the ground loot variations of it. Not too great. But absolutely give this one a try. It is worth it if you can get a handle on that 40 rounds. Another SMG here that I want to talk about that is still firmly in the top 10, I believe, is that of the MAC-10. And this kind of has made a comeback in recent times in regards to the overall meta use here at this, because it's consistent, easy to control, incredibly mobile, and as a result is incredibly reliable. This, I end up running the sound suppressor, task force barrel, Tiger Team Spotlight, Raider stock, and the 53 round drum mag. We can talk about that one kind of in passing because we've talked about it so many times, but if you haven't been a part of the MAC-10 wave when it was the main meta a couple of seasons ago, absolutely give this thing a try because it is incredibly good. Now, before we round into the second half here of this video, the one that I want to close out the sort of top 5 again, kind of in bulk, is that of the new EM2, the new rifle here at this. And this one takes a little bit of time to get used to, but if you can, it absolutely packs a punch. It's kind of like the C58 and the AMAX kind of had a baby, a little bit of a mismatch between those two, where it bounces more than the C58, I think. So you want to kit it out for control. You want to be able to learn that recoil pattern. But if you're landing shots, it's going to hit like a brick. Now, for this, I end up normally running the agency suppressor. Again, that 27.4-inch Ranger barrel for that bullet velocity and vertical recoil control. This is one, though, that I absolutely can say you may want to run the task force to get more recoil control in the horizontal department as well. It really just comes down to how comfortable you feel when controlling the recoil. If you feel confident in your ability to pull down on that right thumbstick in a gunfight, you may not need the task force barrel, but if you want that added control, it is afforded there with it. Then we run the 3x optic because we are taking this to medium to long range here at this. Then the 50 round mag, since that is the largest magazine we have on offer. And again, because we are playing this for control, the Field Agent foregrip. I haven't really been putting this on too many rifles in recent loadout videos, but this is absolutely one I would definitely say to toss on for that added recoil control. So 5 down, 5 more to go here. These ones, the ones on the air quote bottom half of the top 10, again, still incredibly viable. Some you may have a weapon you think leapfrogs into the top 10 over these weapons, but again, that's where that sort of variability between 15 to 20 weapons in the main overall meta can come into play. For me, I'm still in love with the Modern Warfare MP5. It's just over-reliable. It's something that is incredibly mobile, incredibly easy to control, and can pack a punch here with the right attachments for that. We've talked about it many a times here with this, so we can kind of breeze through it once again, but the monolithic integral suppressor is that barrel. You get the effects of a monolithic suppressor and a barrel adjustment as well, all in one, so that's definitely nice. I personally run the tac laser, so we can end up getting that extra ADS speed, the Merc foregrip, the 45 round mag, and the stippled grip tape. Playing for a really snappy weapon here at this one. Snap onto your opponents and then get your shots off. Next up, we have the FARA 83, one that was not too long ago the main meta weapon of Warzone, but it has since been adjusted, has more recoil, and therefore knocks you off target quite a bit. It's still incredibly good, but takes a little bit more skill to control. For this, I end up running the GRU suppressor, that Spetsnaz RPK barrel, the Tiger Team Spotlight because I do love me my movement speed, the axial arms 3 times, and then the 60 round mag as well. Again, not as good as it was beforehand, but still very good in terms of the overall meta, I think. After that, and usually paired with my FARA, I end up running the Bullfrog here at this. This is one of those weapons that I think is just incredibly fun to use by comparison. It might not be the best SMG. Again, we talked about how the OTS-9, the MAC-10, the Modern Warfare MP5, I think are better than all of it, but it's just an incredibly mobile weapon, a lot of fun to use, and I have a blast with it anytime I do. For that, I end up running the Sound Suppressor, the Task Force Barrel, Tiger Team Spotlight, KGB Skeletal Stock, and the Serpent Wrap. You don't need any ammo modification here with this because you have a decent bit off the base. If you want to swap out that Serpent Grip for something like an underbarrel of the Bruiser Grip, giving you more movement speed and hip fire accuracy, absolutely is a great choice as well. After that, the next weapon I want to talk about is one that, while we've been geared towards mobility this entire time, it's not really a mobile weapon, but it is insanely powerful. That being the Stoner. For this, I ended up running the Agency Suppressor, the Task Force Barrel, the Axial Arms 3x Optic, the Raider Pad, and the Field Agent Grip. Again, you don't need any magazine here with this. You have a lot of rounds on offer with the base weapon. The Raider Pad we use so that we can end up getting that ADS firing move speed and sprint to fire time. You have a very bulky weapon, so you want to be able to have it with a little bit better handling if you can. That Task Force Barrel we do use because we end up wanting extra recoil control, because if you're firing for a longer period of time here by comparison to 20 rounds or something like that, you're going to notice that it kicks a lot. So you want some control here with it, and that's also why we put the Field Agent foregrip on as well. And then finally, the last weapon here to round out this top 10 is a sniper, one that we have talked about beforehand, that being, I think, still the Swiss K31. I personally think that the Swiss has kind of moved in and taken over the Kar 98K's place in the meta, and there's nothing really wrong with that. The car is still phenomenal if you don't have the Swiss ranked up, but for that, I'd recommend the GRU, the Combat Recon Barrel, the SWAT 5mm laser, the 7-round mag, and the Serpent Grip here with it, so you get a little bit of a snappier sniper build with it. But again, coming back to it, there are a ton of weapons that are still incredibly viable here. If it wasn't in the top 10, it's definitely within that top 20. To me, there's a lot of weapons like the AS Val is still incredible for solos and duos. The PPSH is still a very reliable weapon. It might just not pack as much punch. The new Tech 9 is incredibly good in some situations. It's good semi-auto or with that muzzle that makes it full auto, but Burst in Warzone is just awful, man. I would not recommend the burst attachment on that, but that's still good. Again, there's still so many weapons that can absolutely on any given day outperform something else in situational engagements. So that's really where the 11 to 20 can come down to almost anything else. But that said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. That's my pick here for the top 10 loadouts within Warzone. One thing we're probably gonna expand upon here in the coming days is some of the new perks and perk adjustments. Combat Scout is something that I've been throwing on some of these weapon classes, and you've probably seen it in some of the footage. That is an incredibly stupid and powerful perk. I don't know if I like this thing just yet because, I mean, it's cool to use for you, but if you get tagged up and you're in a 1v3, you may as well just back out because you're dead. Tempered is a great choice as well, but again, perk 2 is just so oversaturated at this point with good perks, you might not need it. And then Cold-Blooded has been making a return as well because of that Combat Scout perk. But anyways, that's the loadouts here. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think? Do you like these top 10 selections? Do you agree with them? Do you think something should leapfrog into the top 10? Whatever the case may be, let me know your thoughts down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Cold War, Modern Warfare, COD 2021, and anything COD related. We got you covered. So stick it here on the channel. We have so much stuff you do not want to miss. That said, if you also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Probably live on both those. So if you guys want to check my conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.